Hello everybody, Grizzly Pig here. Welcome to today's episode. We are playing Star Citizen, and in today's episode I'm going to show you how to get some great loot. So you're going to get the Parallax gun, pretty much guaranteed, maybe 2, 3 or 5 even if you're lucky. You're also going to get as many other different kinds of guns like Karnas, Gallants, weapon mods, scopes, compensators, E-mods, underbarrels. There's going to be a bunch of armour to loot, including possibly Berserker helm and some rarer items like that. Some Wicklow items like the plushie, Pico Ball, and also some medals, albeit worn and damaged ones. We might also get ourselves some grade A components for our ships as well. And to get all this stuff, we're going to the Hathor alignment settlements where the satellites are for the OLP. This is part of the Mine and Align event. This is certainly going to help you if you want to do this at a later stage. You can make this event take a lot less time. I'm not going to dive too deeply into it, but basically you are going to be able to get the alignment blades if you want to save them for the future, and the batteries as well. So anyway, as you can see here, I've got my Ursa Medic and I've put a nice gun on it, Dominance Size 1 Laser Scatter Gun. It's got high alpha damage and it's basically like a shotgun. It's going to be really effective, I'm hoping, against clearing out the mobs where we're going here. But I also want to try out another vehicle as well, because I recently got myself a cool little vehicle called the X1, and I want to see if that's going to be any use to us as well, because it's really tiny and it's also got a gun you can use. And I'm also going to be running that with a Dominance one, see how that is. And aside from putting a Dominance on this, I've also upgraded the shield as well, because I feel like it might kind of want it, because it looks quite squishy. You can also do this with your Ursa as well, although I haven't done it to mine. It seems to have proven to be tanky enough as it is without the upgrade, but go ahead and do that if you want to. So in my last video, you'll notice I was using a Corsair, just one that I brought from the ship vendor. But in today's video, you're going to see that I'm actually using the PAF Executive Edition of the Corsair, because I lost my last one as well as a bunch of other ships because I was just silly and didn't claim all of my ships before the last patch that came in. You may also notice that I've actually got a bunch of PAF Executive Hangar ships, and I'm going to be doing an episode on that in the future that explains in simple how to very easily run the executive hangar safely and quickly. You can get all of the comp boards within an hour if you're lucky, but certainly all of them within 2 hours. So please like, subscribe for that one if you want to see that in future. Anyway, back to it. So we've got some med gel now because we've got the patch where we now need this med gel to be able to respawn and repair our injuries and stuff like that, which really sucks because that costs 100,000 for a canister and we only get 2 respawns out of that, but hopefully we're not going to need it. But that is one of the reasons we are running the medical Ursa here. So as you can see here, the X1 is actually extremely buggy, so I'm not really certain if this is going to be any use to us. This is actually the X1 Force model, the original model you cannot have a shield on, so I think it's definitely worth getting this, considering it is so cheap to buy anyway. It's only going to set you back 132,000 AUEC, and the Ursa Medivac is actually 125,000 AUEC as well, so that's even more of a bargain. Very good bang for buck. It's actually one of my favourite purchases, just because it is so useful for the land stuff that we're going to be doing here. Anyway, so let's head out and head over to the Hathor site. So we're going to be going over to one of the PAF sites. That's what we're going to search here now. And there's actually 12 of these sites, but effectively there's 3 sites per OLP tower. So there's 4 locations you can go to, 4 OLPs, and 2 of them are located in Hurston and 2 are over at Crusader, and we're at Grimhex here, so the Crusader ones are going to be better for us. So we're going over to Lamina. PAF 1, 2 or 3, it doesn't really matter, they're just the names that they're given because there's 3 that are under each of the OLPs, and that'll all make sense when I get there because you'll see exactly what I mean. So the OLP station is what fires the laser down at the ground and opens it up for the mining part of the Align and Mine event, and you can see that's the OLP tower we're looking at now, and below it there are 3 markers, and they are the Hathor sites there that have the 3 satellites that need to be positioned towards the OLP. So if you want to do the full event, it is necessary to do this, what you're going to see in this video here today, 3 times, once for each of the satellites for the whole event. But I'm just going to show you one positioning of the satellite effectively, and we're only here really for loot and also just to get the comp boards, but you also won't necessarily leave with them if you want to open the orange hangar, which actually has some really nice ship components inside as well. Most of the ship components you get here are not going to be Class A, so we're not going to take them, but there are a couple of Class A's as well. You can get military and stealth actually. So we've landed at one end of the Hathor site and we're going to get our vehicles off and we're going to loot things in a certain way. We're going to go clockwise around here so that we know exactly what buildings we're covering and what we've done already. So we're just going to take the Ursa and we're going to park it in this building here. This is just the building closest to our ship and you can see we can hide this and it's quite inconspicuous. I've come here before with a Cutlass Red and it has got smoked by other players and stuff, but if you have one of these, the chances are it might not get seen, and it claps mobs with the dominance too, so absolutely goated vehicle. So I'm going to explain how this works here now. So basically what we're doing is we're going into the open garages and we're looking for these here. These are the card printers for the blue cards. These blue cards are then going to get us into the blue garages, which hold loot, but also hold red card printers. Red cards are what we need to get into the free rooms in the central building here, where all the loot is and the comp boards. Anyway, I'm just going to interrupt the footage quickly to show you how this progression works. So you can see on the left here, we start out by getting 2 blue key cards ideally, and we make our way across to blue garages. The next step is to then, with each of our blue key cards, to get a red key card, because in the blue garages we can find red key card printers, and you'll notice we only need 2 blue key cards maximum for this, because one of the red key cards we're actually going to get inside the main building at the Hathor camp. There is always one located in there, either in one of the rooms with the comp boards or in another 2 locations I'll show you soon. So then the third step is to then go into the Hathor main building where the satellite is and use our red key cards to get into the 3 rooms. We have a security room, a comms room and an admin room, and each one of those is going to have one of the comp boards that we need to then put into the console that you can see these go into. That's the 4th and final step to this before we actually get our loot. Each of these cards has to be fed in separately, and then an event will happen where a load of juvenile worms will spawn. We have to kill these before we can then load the second card in and the third one. When we have loaded the third card in, that's when the yellow hangar will open. The satellite will also align to the OLP and we can get our loot from inside that garage and clear out. So back to the footage. So now we got our first blue card printer here, so we're going to grab that quick, and I've picked up a gun by accident. A good time to mention that here is a great place for guns from the mobs. You should check all the guns and take the attachments off if you can. Just grab it. Always have a slot free for a gun. I only ever take 1 gun, so I can always put one on my loadout when I pick it up. And as you can see, it's very quick just to take the attachment off and drop the gun on the floor by dragging it onto the little hand icon there. And as you can see here, also what's really good to do to save yourself ammo is to melee the mobs if you can. Oh no, this guy is actually messing me up, but it will save me ammo and hopefully it's not going to kill me. The best thing to do is not actually whip out the blade and use it as your main weapon, but just to run up to the mobs, and if you use the pistol whip command and you have a blade on your loadout, you will actually just use the blade instead and finish the mob very quickly. So we tried to get back in the bike there, but it was actually a waste of time. I wish I didn't bring it because it bugged out there and I cannot get in it, just like what happens back while we were prepping for this. So now we're taking a blue card over to where there are blue garages, and we're going to go inside the opening here, because what we want to do is look through the glass into the blue hangars to see which one has a red keycard printer. Take the fuse just because we can, and some of the blue card access is locked behind a fuse door. So you can see there's a red keycard printer right there, and in that room there is a little vent on the floor. That means that we have to crawl through there, so we're going to go out round the side where we have to access that and open the blue garage door there with our blue key. And I've actually messed up here. When you go in your inventory to equip the blue card beforehand, what you should do is unequip your weapon, because it actually takes it off your loadout if you do this while you're holding your weapon. And some good Samaritan here you can see has left some components outside for us. They're not any good to us. We're only really after A grade components, so if they're not A grade, I'm not going to be interested in taking them. I'm going to put my gun back on my loadout there. As you see, it took it off. Climb through the vent down here. More components here. I'm going to check them just to show you, but generally in these blue garages the components are not going to be any good. Check all the boxes here because you can get some really good loot. You can get Pico balls, plushies, you can get toy guns as well, and if it's a red one I would take that because that might sell to players for the Polaris Wicklow mission. And as I've said, you could also get medals as well, broken and warm ones that Wicklow wants for some of the missions. And there we go, we got ourselves plushie. But most of the stuff in these boxes is going to be pretty much trash. I don't know if that's worth taking. That outfit there looks pretty cool, but I'm going to leave it. Maybe I'm silly for doing so, it's worth money. Let me know in the comments. So now we're printing our first red keycard. And I know it sounds silly to mention this, but don't print it and then run off, because I've done that before. I've printed the card and then forgot to take it and then wondered where the hell it is. And then, of course, if it's behind the blue garage door, you cannot get back to it without getting another blue key. Also, what we're going to do here now is just look up on top of these crate things here, these rigs, because there will be some loot boxes that are worth checking out, because you never know, there might be something quite juicy inside one of these boxes, or even if it's just a bit of ammo for your gun, it's also going to really help, because it is really annoying when you don't have enough ammo. That really shouldn't happen to you though. You should definitely bring more than enough ammo. I generally bring like a loadout's worth extra with me, and even sometimes that's not enough as well, because a lot of the time mobs can be spawning like crazy in this place. It's just totally RNG how many mobs you get here, but sometimes it's absolutely crazy. So now we've got our first red key, we need to work towards our second one. So we're just going to again work around the whole area clockwise and see what we can find in one of these open garages. Now we're looking for another blue key card right here, and as you can see, this dominance gun is actually really amazing. I'm loving it. It's a little bit weird to get used to begin with, but it's not actually that hard to fire. It's got quite a big hitbox. It just fires off a little bit to the right from the reticle. And we got our second blue key card there. And while that's printing, we're just going to have a look around and see if there's any more loot boxes. Now, we might not need this blue key card, because in some of the locations as well, in one of the garages outside, there can be a red keycard printer just in one of the open garages as well. But if you've got a blue keycard there, at least you know that the next garage you come into, whether it's going to be a blue one or an open one, you're going to get a red card printer from it. So let's head over now and see if we can find a blue garage that has got a red keycard printer in it. And I do apologise about the quality of my driving, please don't judge. So we're going to check this next building out here. It's the next closest one around our little route. Go around the back of it, stealthy, sneaky. And all I'm trying to do here is really get a good view of the hangout where the opening points are and stuff like that. Again, lovely bit of driving right there. But I'm going to pass up on this one because it's not a blue garage. So we're going to move on to the next one and see if we can find ourselves a blue garage now. And also keep a keen eye out for other players as well, because some players, although we're in Stanton, might try still bump you off here or destroy your ship or your Ursa. And you also want to look out for big clumps of mobs as well, because they're definitely worth taking out, because when we are killing the juvenile worms and loading the comp boards in, a lot of mobs is going to be very annoying. So we don't want to park up around here now at this door, because there are mobs inside of this building and we're not on foot just as of yet. I'm going to go around the back of this garage because I know there'll be a big opening where I can have a good look inside with the Ursa here. So most of these double barrel garages with a blue hanger either side are going to have some stairs on the right there. It's definitely worth checking up the top of there, because there are some annoying mobs that spawn up there that can be a bit tricky to deal with if you don't first notice them and you rush down the back on the right here. So I think we're quite lucky and we are going to get ourselves a red key card without having to open a blue garage. And what that means is I can either save the blue card for next time I do a run here, take it back home as part of my loot, or I can, if I want some other loot extra or whatever, I can bust open a blue garage door and just see if there's any loot there. I can just use it like that as well. I don't have to take it with me. There's another fuse, let's grab that. So for example, in this room here, this is actually behind a blue door and it uses the blue key just like the garages do. And sometimes in that room there can be some good loot. So we got our second red key card. So now we're ready to move on to the next step of our mission. Right now, head towards the tower with the satellite on in the center. Pull up outside, have a little look inside to see if there's any clusters of mobs. Just be diligent and make sure you're aware. So again, we've got components outside here, stealth components there that are not particularly useful to us, but again, someone's chucked them outside just in case another player wants them. I'm going to do the same again, but none of this I really want. And we're going to press F4 and have a little look through the glass here to see. I'm actually looking to see if there's any green inside there, because the FR66 is green. That is a military A shield generator size 1, and that's really what I would like to see there. One of the better things you can get from the yellow garage. So now we've headed inside the building, and on the ground floor is going to be one of the red doors we need to get into, the security room. To all the mobs here. Important to get rid of any mobs that are nearby, because we're going to be exposed when we get that key out of our inventory. And behind this door is going to be a bunch of loot, also some parallaxes if we're lucky, maybe 2 or 3. And also, of course, what we're looking for is the comp board. So load that in there like that, and let's go and see what we can find. Box on the floor, let's check that out. I'm not going to take everything here, but you may as well, if you've got the Ursa, take as much as you can that you do want, because if you get overloaded after one of these rooms, you can just dump all of your loot into the Ursa. But I'm not really going to take too much notice of all the loot here. I'm just going to try and get this done quickly just for the purposes of this video. And also, I haven't really been looting the guns and stuff from the mobs and checking those for attachments and stuff, but you can get a ton of attachments if you really want to from here, just by checking all the guns the mobs drop. So I did take myself some armor pieces from that box. That was quite nice. Heavy pieces right there. Another box full of rubbish. Always worth checking though. You never know what are going to be in these boxes. And we got ourselves 2 attachments there, so we're going to take those. Pretty nice. Now we got to be a bit careful here coming up, because the door is still open and there's 3 mobs outside there I can see. And the door will close soon and we will be able to let ourselves out. But now it's closed, we are actually safe and we can get the comp board at our own leisure and loot any other boxes we want to without worrying about the mobs. So now we're going to open the door and we're going to deal with these mobs here before we go back to our Ursa and dump all of the loot, including the comp board. Or at least that's what you should do in this run. I'm actually going to go straight upstairs to the next room just for speed. But you really should dump your stuff in the Ursa if you can here, because it's just the better way to do things. You'll have more space in your backpack for the next room, and also it just gets it safer. So there's sometimes a red keycard printer right in front of us here on the right where I'm pointing, but there isn't one here, so that means that it is definitely upstairs in either one of the next rooms, or at the opposite end of this staircase. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of a jump. It's in that far corner there. But I'm just going to check the corridors. It's always worth doing that, because the mobs do like to roam around the corridors and then jump out on you when you least expect it. There's a mob shooting me from somewhere. Need to find that and get rid of him. Oh, there he is. So definitely don't ignore the mobs. Take them out when you see them. Heal up, even if it's just 2% of your HP. It's still worth doing if you get a moment. Some more components outside here. Again, these are not A grade, so I'm not going to take them. And I could check the corridor outside there, but I'm just going to go straight in with the card really quickly and open this door up. So this is the security room upstairs here now. So the only other one after this is the comms room. We'll remember that, because we're going to go back and dump our loot before we go into that room, because I am getting pretty heavy. So you can see also in this room is a red keycard printer, and this is very nice here. You can see we've got ourselves 2 parallax guns. We're going to take them both. I don't actually use a parallax. It's a great gun, but just not my preferred weapon of choice. My favorite gun is probably the PA SMG or the Gallant. I like them both very much. What are your guys' favorite guns? Let me know in the comments there. Right now I am trying out a Kana. I have got some mods on it, nothing too special, but I really quite like it. Very nice damage. So just checking the components here, because I'm not convinced that maybe one day there won't be a really good one spawn, but in general I've never found anything grade A in these comp rooms or in the blue garages. It's only going to be in the yellow garage that we're going to get possibly some decent components if we're lucky. So that's a nice white helmet there. I'm going to take that. I'm getting pretty heavy, so I cannot take everything, unfortunately. If you come here often enough, you'll be able to make yourself look really cool with armor, because there's lots of different armor pieces and looks from those that you can get. Don't forget to take our red card, because that's going to get us into the comms room. And now just watch out in this room. You need to be careful, because this glass is blown, which means mobs can shoot through at you. And there is a box that I want to just take a look in before we then leave the room. So we're just going to deal with these mobs, and then when it is safe, we're going to just have a little look in that box. It's probably going to be full of junk, but as I say, you never know. Might be some medals in there or something like that. Nope, there wasn't this time. Let's get the hell out of here. And now we're going to go back downstairs, and we're going to dump all of our stuff into the Ursa. And then we just have one more comp board to collect. And of course, don't forget to check your ammo as well. And if you need to get some ammo, pick it up while you're in your Ursa right there. So now before we go into the last room, we're just going to check outside on the balcony area here, because as you can see, there is sometimes quite a few mobs, and again we're going to be exposed here, and they have a tendency to pop up on you when you least expect it. Feed that card in here. So once we're in this room, we're going to run straight down to the back and check out the boxes and just work our way from the back to the front and see what we get. So that had a load of rubbish in that time. This box, sometimes they're a bit laggy look here, but yeah, we've pretty much not got anything decent from that. We've got some Kana ammo though, so that's really good, because I'm running the Kana right now. Another box, let's check that. We've got an attachment right there, we'll take that. And let's not forget our third and final alignment blade. I have been calling them comp boards, but they're actually alignment blades. Apologies for that, that's force of habit, just because we've been doing a lot of the executive hanger. Nice box here with some armor pieces, take what you want. Check this last box here, and now I'm also going to take this quartz SMG. I don't normally take SMGs, the quartz ones, but that one is a white one. I don't have one of those, so I'm going to take that. Maybe I'll sell it, maybe I'll keep it, I'm not sure. Anyway, so now we've got our 3 comp boards. I'm running straight downstairs to the console here, where you feed them in. The alignment blades, sorry, I mean to say. And I'm going to feed this first one in here, and once that happens, the whole place is going to start to rumble. I'm going to leg it straight over to my Ursa, because now we've got some juvenile worms to deal with, and we're just going to clap these with the dominance. And as you can see, it is so effective against these worms. And the gun that I'm using, the Kana, is not too bad for it either, but it's certainly not half as quick as the dominance. And I thought that was going to be just one worm to deal with, but since another 2 or 3 popped up, I decided to run like the clappers and get back into my Ursa and deal with those. But basically, once you put that first blade in, just be prepared at any time from here on that one of these worms could pop up. This is also going to attract some of the NPCs around the place as well. That's going to be pretty annoying, but just keep an eye out through that gap there, and also behind you as well. And if you see any mobs, just deal with them straight away. And now I've dealt with mostly everything here. I'm going to get out and then just clear up stuff with my Kana. We're going to take this last worm with my Kana here, and you can see what I mean. It is quite easy to take these out with any kind of rifle or SMG on foot, but not nearly as effective as the Ursa. So once everything is clear and it is safe, what we're going to do is go up to these worms and look at the mouths, because on each of them you'll be able to collect 3 fangs from them, juvenile Valkar fangs, and they are a required item by Wicklow for some of his missions, so definitely get those if you want to. I'm probably not going to be able to collect them all, because sometimes they bug or the worms' bodies just despawn. But now I've done that and I've collected all of those fangs, we're going to put the next comp board in. We're going to do it all again. Rinse and repeat, kill all the worms, kill all of the mobs, and then loot all the fangs again. And then when you're safe, get out, and then we're going to go and put the next final comp board in. I will add that if you want to do the mine and align event at some point in the future, it is a good idea. If you had a look through the yellow garage, you didn't see any loot that you wanted, like any components, or you simply don't need anything like that, you don't have to do this stage. You can just save the alignment blades for when you actually want to fire up the satellites, and with your group of buddies or whatever, or your org, you want to make this whole event quicker. You've got a bunch of alignment blades that you can just come straight over here, and then you can skip most of the steps here. You can just go into this central building and align the satellite. You just need 9 alignment blades because it's 3 per satellite, and then you're good to go. So we're just going to stock up on ammo and head out and stick that last comp board in. Oh, we've got some mobs here hanging out the back of my Ursa. Nice little surprise there. Deal with those. Well, a moment of clarity there. My life flashed before my eyes. So what we're going to do is we're going to close up the Ursa here. We're going to get into the medical bed, and we're going to use the bed now to actually deal with some of our injuries. So you can see we've actually got like 3 injuries here. And if we go into the treatment tab here and we click these little boxes for each of our injuries, we can deal with those and get rid of them. Another great thing about the Ursa that you can do that with as well, because it's really annoying when you're walking around with loads of injuries. So now we're going to feed in that last comp board, and you know the score. We're just going to run out to our Ursa and clear up the juvenile worms. And what's going to happen now as well, because that's the last comp board that we put in, is the yellow garage door is going to open and the satellite is going to align with the OLP. So we will be able to go into the yellow garage there and get all of our loot. I don't want to go in straight away because I want to make sure it's safe. So clear up all the mobs before you go in. And then we got some components here. Not interested in that one. These are not A grade components, but I'm going to chuck them out if someone else wants them as well. And there's some boxes here as well. You can see that. I'm going to check. Nothing interesting for me in that one. And we've got some armor pieces. I don't think I'm going to take any of this, but there you see that you can get some nice armor right there. I'll take the helmet. Another box here. What have we got here? We've got ourselves medal. That's really nice. Definitely take that. Never know when we might need it. And we got a glacier is that hiding behind there. Now that is actually a military grade A cooler size one. So we are going to definitely take that. I don't want that polar though. That's the B military version of it. Before we head out of here, let's take the battery just because we can. The reason I'm going to take the battery is because if I do the mine and align event in future and someone like what I'm doing now has just been here and aligned the satellite, then I don't need to come down here at all. So I can just go up to the OLP with the battery. That's where you need the batteries, by the way. You get the 3 batteries, one from each of these Hathor sites, and you take them up to the OLP platform. But I'm not going to talk about that anymore. That's beyond the scope of this video. We're taking our Ursa back to our ship now, and we're going to put the Ursa on board. We've also got the glacier. We're going to actually take that out of the Ursa and clip that onto the bottom of our Corsair, just so we know it's clipped and safe, because you never know, it might bug out inside the Ursa. So what we're going to do once we've got this inside here is we're going to fly back over to where the battery is and just load that onto the back of the Corsair. So now we're here. We're just going to land with our back end as close to it as we can without the back of the ship glitching. And we're going to try and get that in. Not the best parking here. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get too close. We're glitching our ship out and our ramp is not going to be accessible for us like this. So what we're going to have to do is try and use the battery to jump up the ramp and see if we can get in that way. And then once we're inside the Corsair, we'll be able to drag the battery inside. Let's see how this goes here. We're going to do a little running jump. Yep, there we go. So now all that's left to do is put the battery inside, and you can see there's a glitch here right now where it's not the only ship it happens to, it's other ships as well. But basically when you throw the battery, or anything like a box as well, like cargo boxes, they don't want to go through the door. They just become really heavy and they cannot be thrown in. That's with the multi-tool. I think you're right with a maxi lift, but you can see there we've managed to get the battery inside with a nice bit of skilled flying from myself there. But the question is it going to stay there? And also, is my Ursa going to stay there as well, or is that going to fall out? We've got to go back to Grim Hex now. That's all we need to do. We've got our loot, everything we came for. So it looks like the battery is staying put and it's not gone anywhere. If it can survive the warp, I'm sure that we can get it there. Just need to make a couple more jumps and then we are at Grim Hex here. We're going to call our hangar and we're going to park right up next to the freight elevator because we need to put our component in there that we got, our glacier, and we also need to put the battery in there as well. So I'm approaching this upside down, it looks like. So we're going to do a little spin. Hopefully things don't go flying out while we do this. And we also didn't get pirated as well, which is also a nice bonus at Grim Hex because a lot of pirates hang out here. And the reason for that is that you can always get back in here if you have a crime stat, whereas other stations in Stanton won't let you actually dock. So there we have it. That's a successful trip, and if you guys do this as well, you'll be able to come out here with a lot more loot than I just had. This is something you can literally do on day one of your Star Citizen journey. The most expensive thing of this is actually probably a ship that has cargo space enough to carry the Ursa. But again, absolutely goated Corsair there. I've had problems getting the battery out, as you can see right there. I managed to get the glacier out from underneath it, no problem. But we're now going to summon up a Atlas to see if that's going to work because the tractor tool is not working at all. So luckily I've got one of these Atlases. Another thing you really should get, these are absolutely amazing. I use these for all sorts of things like this, but also cargo missions as well. So we're just going to grab that and then look around with Z on the floor just quickly and chuck that down there, clip it in, and that's it. We've got everything back nice and safely. So all that's left to do now is unload the rest of the stuff. So all of our loot, we're just going to grab that and stick that in our storage. So you can see there we've got lots of nice loot. We've got that battery glitched up the top there. I don't know what's happening with that. We've got a couple of parallaxes. You guys are going to get more parallaxes than this sometimes, I guarantee it. You're going to come out with a lot more loot than I just did, I guarantee. Anyway guys, that's all from me here now. If this video has been helpful to you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you all in the next one.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.